Hey, hello everybody. This is Joy. I have been reading this story about Joseph in Genesis chapter 37 and following, and I was very blessed by what I read. Now you probably know the story. It's Joseph had 11 brothers, and he is the favorite kid of his father Jacob. Well, it doesn't work very well today to have a favorite kid and to show favoritism. And you know what? It didn't work very well back then either. And this is the deal. Jacob's the father here. He went and made Joseph a very beautiful coat of many colors. And this was kind of like an act of favoritism. And he gave this special coat to Joseph. And Joseph's brothers hated him all the more when they saw that favoritism. And then, to make things even worse, Joseph had this two dreams. And he shared these dreams with his brother, with all 11 of his brothers. And the interpretation was very, very clear. The dream showed Joseph as being lord over his brothers, them bowing down to him and being subservient to him. And this really, really caused the brothers to hate him all the more. Well, in the midst of all this sibling rivalry, Jacob, the father, decides to have Joseph go check up on his brothers who are tending to the sheep. So Joseph grabs his coat of many colors and he goes to check up on his brothers. Well, his brothers see him coming from a long ways away, and they get these evil plots communicating to each other. And they decided they wanted to kill Joseph and then to throw him in the pit. But then they decided just to throw him in the pit. And as they were planning all of this stuff, this is what one of the brothers said. And now we'll see what becomes of his dreams. And this is a strange kind of prophecy. Because you know what? They did see what happened to his dreams. They did bow down. They did become subservient to Joseph. Well, after they threw him in the pit, they saw some Ishmaelite trader people go by, and they thought, hey, let's sell him to the people and we'll get some money that way. And after all, he is our blood brother. It sounded more kind to sell him into slavery, I guess, than to do otherwise. So anyhow, they sold him into slavery by selling him to the Ishmaelites, and he ended up in Egypt. And there he was servant in Potiphar's house. And things went really well at Potiphar's place. Potiphar trusted him with everything, and things were going really well for him. He was really prospering. And then Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of rape. And you know what? That same type of thing happens today. False accusations. And just taking somebody's word for it with no witnesses. But Joseph ended up in prison. And there's a verse in Psalm 105 that really communicates to my heart. And it says, they hurt his feet with fetters, and he was bound up in iron. And until the word came to him, the word of the Lord tested him. And this is the big point. During all of this, Joseph kept his heart right. He didn't go into self-pity or bitterness. He had a lot of things he could have been really angry about. But in fact, when he saw that the butler and baker at the prison were sad, he was able to notice their sadness. And he asked them, "Why are you so sad?" And they had both had a dream, and he is able to interpret the dream to him. And in the interpretation, the butler would be going back to his position with the Pharaoh. And Joseph told the butler, remember me when you get free and your position with the Pharaoh is restored. Remember me." Because Joseph wanted to get free. Well, you know what? The butler did get free, and he forgot Joseph. Now, this is a big, huge thing to keep your heart right when you think, finally, God is coming through for me. Oh, this is wonderful, and then to be forgotten. But Joseph kept his heart right. And this is like so very, very huge and important. But then what happened is the Pharaoh had this dream, and it troubled him and he couldn't understand it. And then the butler remembered, "Oh, I knew this guy in prison, Joseph." So Joseph was called to Pharaoh. Joseph was able to interpret the dream. And as a result, he became like under Pharaoh, he was the next in charge in the land of Egypt. And he was in charge of people storing enough grain so that when there was a famine, there would be grain available. And the dream revealed that there would be a famine after 7 years of plenty. So when the time of great famine came, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt to get grain. And they did not recognize Joseph, but Joseph recognized them. And I thought, Joseph almost seemed like he was having a little bit of fun in forgiving. It's like if you have to forgive somebody, you might as well have a little bit of fun in doing it. And he lined everybody up to eat. And he had them according to their age, like the youngest to the oldest. And, that was real kind of the brothers thought, what in the world? But anyhow, there was a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of excitement, a whole lot of adventure. But in the end, it's Joseph's brothers and his father and the brothers' families. They all came up to Egypt, and Joseph was able to provide for them. Okay, and this is the part that really touches me on the story. Joseph kept his heart right through all of the everything, all the rejection, all the betrayal, through false accusation. He kept his heart right. The Word of God tested him, but he kept his heart right. And the outcome was good because Joseph trusted in the Lord and kept his heart right. And so, anybody who's listening to this, I just want to encourage you that whatever your situation is, whether it's disease or something else that's really hard, keep your heart right. Keep away the self-pity. Keep away the bitterness and the anger. And God can bring a good outcome to your story too. And in fact, Ephesians 3:20, I believe it is, says that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above what you could ask or think, according to the power that works in you. So I want to encourage you, let the power of God work inside of you. And remember that when you became a born-again Christian, it's His righteousness, the righteousness of God, that is in you. You don't have to do this yourself. But He can do exceedingly, abundantly above what you could ask or think to bring a good ending to whatever your story might be. So, God bless you. May His countenance shine upon your face, and may He give you fresh hope for today.